Now let's talk just a little bit of NFL. I don't want to go too much into this NFL thing, um, just because there's not really a whole lot going on right now. But I do want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about, first and foremost, I want to talk about this Cam Newton thing, man. So I don't know if y'all been paying attention or watching what's been going on with Cam Newton, but he was on Travis Hunter's podcast last week, and he essentially said that before he got to the Carolina Panthers, that the Carolina Panthers roster was a team full of losers. And that obviously rubbed some people the wrong way, particularly one Steve Smith Sr., man. Steve Smith Sr. did not like what Cam had to say about them, and I'm actually going to read this quote, a couple of quotes that Steve Smith said. So the first quote is, 53-man locker room -1 equals 52 losers. Wow, breaking news to 89. So Steve Smith definitely took exception to the fact that he was included in this team full of losers, and he has something to say about it, man. And Steve Smith, by by any account, was not a loser. Steve Smith was that dude. And Cam, man, I don't, you do your thing with these podcasts and on ESPN and all that, man. And sometimes I think you kind of got some wild takes. I don't necessarily think this is a wild take, but I just think it's something that you just don't say, man. Like, you cannot call a team full of grown men that you played alongside, regardless if it was the year before or not. You cannot call these guys losers, bro. Now, I know you walked it back a little bit later. We'll get into that, but yeah, you cannot do that, man, because people definitely the real ones is definitely gonna check you on it, bro. Like, they definitely gonna check you on it. So I don't care how you meant it for it to sound. The way it came out was exactly how it sounded. Came out like you called all those guys a bunch of losers, like you was like the god coming in. And yes, you did come in and you lit it up and you had a great rookie season and all that. I'm giving you huge props. You was one of them. You was one of them ones. But even with that being said, bro, the last I checked, football is not no one-man show. Football take all 53. So I had a problem with the take myself. Steve Smith then goes on to say, I've watched and listened to you from afar as at Cameron Newton talk about at Panthers. None of us are perfect. Yes, we were 2-14 before you blessed us with your presence. The way you have talked about at Panthers lately, I'm very disappointed. I wish you nothing but the very best. I'm done. So yeah, man, Steve had every right to be upset about this, and I agree with him, man. I just feel like you just can't talk about a group of grown men like that. And then Cam obviously comes out to say, because the whole way that this got started was Cam was basically talking to Travis Hunter about how Cam's impact was way more, he had way bigger impact as a quarterback than Travis Hunter could ever have at wide receiver or at cornerback. So that was kind of like what got them on this whole topic. So Cam basically says you could potentially be the first pick, but bro, you have no way of impacting the game the way a quarterback does. Newton said on the podcast, you can lock down the number one receiver, you can make impact plays on offense all you want, but it's still not like a quarterback. My issue is that when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room full of losers, just honest. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare. They didn't take themselves serious to realize we were 2-14. There was a lot of 2-14 in the mentality of those guys. He then turns around after Steve Smith's comments, and he doesn't even necessarily walk it back. I mean, he walks it back a little bit, but he really doesn't apologize or walk it back. He says, I'm not specifically talking about those guys, Newton said on his podcast. I'm talking about the culture that was there prior to me coming in the locker room, and it was a loser's mentality. So if he had said, if he had said that there was a loser's mentality, like right out the gate, I don't think that Steve Smith and some of the other guys, maybe they would have had as much issue with, what he said, what he ultimately said, and he basically, when he called them losers. So if he would have just said that from the beginning, I don't think that there would have been a lot of pushback. But the fact that he called, like I said, a 53-man roster, a team full of losers, I mean, it's just hard to come back from that. So, so I think Steve Smith is absolutely right in this case. And, you know, Cam, man, like I said, man, I really enjoy you, man. I enjoy watching you throughout your career. But this is definitely one I can't agree with you on. So I feel like, you know, you definitely need to, I think you definitely need to apologize to those guys, man. And, you know, because, yeah, like I said, while you did come in and you did provide this spark that they needed, man, you were electric right out the gate. It takes all 53. So I'm going to leave that at that.